Now, thank you for staying with us. At the age of 24, Niall Hughes noticed that he was starting to lose his hair. He decided to shave his head and come to terms with living his life as a bald man. But as the months went on, Niall started having difficulty adjusting to the hair loss and began to investigate ways to restore his former glory. He looked into laser treatments and hair plugs, but decided they weren't for him and decided to go for hair restoration. Now, almost a year and a half later, he has a full head of hair, as we can see here this morning, and a spring in his step. And Niall joins us this morning along with Dr. Patrick Tracy. Good morning to you all.
Morning.
Niall, literally then tell us about this. You were starting to go bald and you decided, sure, that's nature as intended, and decided to shave it all off.
Started shaving my head, and then I looked into getting hair transplants to see what I could get done. Then came across Patrick's work and went for a consultation with Sinead. And basically the thing that
why did you decide that, like, shaving it off? It just sort of said, no, this is
well, I was kind of, after about 3-4 years just shaving it, I said, to hell with it. Why not? Why can't I go see what it's done? Loads of people get work done.
Right.
But I think it's more nearly frowned upon against men, but it's kind of, I just pushed myself to go and get it done.
And when you had thinning hair, when did you start noticing the thinning hair? What age were you?
Oh, I was 22, 23.
And could you not get anything done then? Or you can, like, tablets or anything like that? Did you go and investigate it then?
But at that stage, I wasn't that interested. I said, I'll be grand. I just kind of went with the flow. That's the way it's meant to be. That's nature's way.
Okay. Patrick, can I just, before we go into the actual transplant, if people have thinning hair, there are methods before it can go any further. Like, there are tablets that can, there's Rogaine, there's all that, like, that you should start trying to maybe use before you go down maybe some other avenues.
Absolutely. We use Proscar in the form of finasteride. We use minoxidil. But if we look at
what are they?
They're two tablets that are both sort of male hormones, because there's a circulating precursor for testosterone called DHEA, and this causes susceptibility to hair in some areas on the crown and on the front. Right. But if we look at why we use these tablets, the reason is that the hair implant or transplant methods to date have all required cutting a big strip out of the back. As a consequence of that, people have to wait until they lose most of their hair, because they're only going to get one big strip cut out.
Right.
So as a consequence of that, these tablets have the role keeping hair in place until they lose so much. We looked at this method and we said to ourselves, this is crazy, from the point of view that if you had somebody dying of cancer, you wouldn't wait until they're almost dead before you treat them. So we looked at a method by John Cole in the United States, and in Dublin we've almost perfected it to the extent that nobody has ever to go bald again.
So, like, the old treatment was the plugs, where you literally took a line of hair, or a line of hair follicles from the back of the head, and you started to replant them in the
All methods of implant or transplant are based on the ideology that the hair at the back of your head is not susceptible to this circulating chemical, and the hair at the front of the head is, so that if you take it from the back of the head and put it into the front, it retains the memory of that and the hair grows. Up until recently, people thought you had to bring over the nerves, sebaceous glands, the blood vessels and all the rest. And we've discovered, and we've patented a little implanter, that if you take up a single follicle, it works. Now, this revolutionises it, because it means nobody is ever to go bald again. We can genetically now do a test of somebody at 18, know how much hair they're going to lose by 30, and instead of having to wait to lose it all, we can take it up bit by bit.
Okay, so here it is here. So let's have a look. So tell me what we're doing here then. Okay.
Well, this, I suppose, is the procedure itself only takes about 3 or 4 hours, and during that period of time we can transmigrate as many as 2,000 or 3,000 follicles.
Now hold on a second. Niall here is very bald, right?
He was totally bald almost.
So totally bald there. So at what stage does somebody go into you? Like, if I went into you and I said my hair is thinning there, hair in the front, would you say no, you can't really get it done now?
Absolutely,
because
we can do it now at any stage. We can sort of, you know, grow with you, and as a consequence of the fact that we don't anymore need surgery, we don't anymore need an anaesthetist, we don't anymore need to knock anybody out, we can say you're losing some at the front, so what we'll do is put 400
okay, so you're taking 400 or 500 follicles from the back,
sure,
and you're placing them in the front,
absolutely,
and then they grow then over time. Do they? But is that what you put in there, then that's it. If you want fuller hair, you need another 500.
Sure, or you know, some people may come at grade 4 or grade 5 when they've lost an awful lot of their hair, and we would move maybe 3,500 or 4,000 at the one time. People come at different stages. There's gradings up to 6. And everybody with male pattern baldness loses their hair in a particular sort of pattern.
Okay, now let's see photos of you before the treatment then, and just sort of say, how did you find the treatment, first of all?
Oh, it was brilliant. I even fell asleep twice when I was having it getting done.
How many treatments did you get done?
I had 2 done. I had one nearly 2 years ago.
So there you are there. Now, obviously, yeah, you're very bald there. Like, so, but I mean, a lot of guys, that's a look. That's a look for thousands of guys who
probably
like
why I went along with it though as well for so long. But then I just said to hell with it. Why not look into it and see what can be done, just to change it.
Right, and then we saw you getting the treatment done there. So sorry, how many treatments did you get done?
2.
2. Okay, so let's see you then 3 months after the treatment, how you had progressed, and let's have a look at then the shot of you then after 3 months. How did you find it? Were you happy with it? There, you see it there, it's growing, starting to grow back there. So, Patrick, does it just keep growing then? Is that the thing?
It takes about 10 months for the sort of hair to grow out. But instead of now hair transplants costing 15,000, this can be done between 2,500 to 5,000. So we've got a new situation, and this will revolutionise hair transplant, or hair implant, if you want to put it that way, that suddenly we've no scars, we've no surgery. We have nobody going under a general anaesthetic. The treatment costs 1/3 of the normal price.
But there's, sorry, just looking at it, there's the difference now, because that's today.
Absolutely.
So how long? So when was the last session you had then?
It was last April.
Last April.
Yeah.
So we're literally nearly a year ago then.
Yeah. It takes between 10 to 12.
It normally takes 10 months to grow out a hair to an acceptable length.
Right.
Hair on the scalp grows a little slower than it does.
And how many treatments? How many treatments would you? Obviously, people are different people, but
most people need
people
one.
who are going into you, they literally need one.
Well, you see, most people have got it into their head that they have to lose an awful lot of hair before they can get treated. So as a consequence, most people we see are grade 3, grade 4. But there's absolutely no reason why we can't, you know, sort of treat somebody at 21, 22.
Okay, so if I went in and I sort of said to you now, look at my hair there, it's starting to thin out on the front. Would you say, no, you're silly, go away, or would you say, no, give me your money and I'll do something with you?
No, obviously we wouldn't treat you if you didn't require treatment.
Right.
And some people we also put on medication to hold them over until they need treatment.
Right, okay.
Because
one of the tablets, these are the tablets.
Absolutely. One thing you do want to do is to go into an area where you have good hair and do any damage to the hair that's there. So there is a balance that you have to sort of reach a certain amount of follicular density. When you get down to about 50%, you know, sort of, it's worthwhile treating then, because at the end of the day, you're taking it from an area that sort of also you're going to remove some hair, and normally you'll have about 120 follicles per square centimetre. We can drop that down to about 70 before you would notice the difference.
How much does it cost now? How much does this cost you?
That was between about 20.
20,000? Yeah. 20,000 euro?
Yeah.
Really? Are you happy with that?
I'm delighted with it. Really happy with it.
Does it always cost 20?
No. Now it's nearly bald, so you've got to take that into account, okay? Now, hair transplants, as they sit at the moment, cost about 15, but with us, they're much cheaper.
How much is much cheaper?
Well, it averages about 4,500, but people start about 2,500, because most people need
What do you get for 2,500?
For 2,500, you probably would get about 1,000 to 1,200 follicles.
And what's that realistically?
Okay, that would be if somebody's thinning on the front and they sort of need hair on both temples, so we normally put in about 400 or 500 on either side, and that would cost about 2,500. If somebody, I had my crown done, I was losing hair in my crown, and we put in 800, and you know, you almost wouldn't notice now that I had anything at all done. That would normally cost about 2,500 as well. So if you've got a situation like now where, you know, they're totally...
It's a huge investment for you.
You know?
But still, for a bit of confidence in it, it's definitely worth it.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. So I mean, you obviously had to be. You obviously are delighted with it now because you put a huge investment into that.
Yeah, big time. Definitely delighted with it.
The other thing is the treatment is 100% guaranteed. You know, and there's very few sort of, I suppose, hair implant things that can do that.
Right.
And this is a treatment that we're going to now bring worldwide, and we're going to sort of scale up. As I say. It was a modification of a treatment that originally was used in the United States about maybe 15 years ago. And
Well, Patrick, we have all your details are on the website, which we've put up on the screen, so people can contact you because we know where you are.
Sure.
And thank you very much for coming in. And like, literally, will it keep growing? Will it get that?
Oh, absolutely. That's for life.
That's for life now.
Absolutely.
So literally, so 20 grand, you'd want it. Listen, thank you very much both for coming in this morning.